to the NXT Podcast, your home for weekly NXT reviews and insight.
The beautiful part of NXT is that when one dream ends, another dream begins.
Find all of your NXT news, recaps, and analysis right here. So with that being said, we only have one question for you.
Are you ready?
We thought so. Let's get the show started right now.
Hey NXT fans, this is Jay for your weekly NXT review. Sorry it took me a little time to get this out there, but it's been a week. Nothing bad, just, a lot going on, and finally, now that the Yankees are out of the World Series, rest in peace, Yankees, I have a little bit of time, so I wanted to get this out, as soon as possible, and finally I'm able to do it. I also was going to do an NXT review this week, but that fell at the wayside, or the Halloween Havoc review. Let me give you some general impressions of Halloween Havoc before I get into last night's episode. Halloween Havoc, as far as I expected more from Halloween Havoc. It's not that it was a bad PLE, it's just, to me, it wasn't on the same level as the other PLEs they've done in the past. The bookend matches were good. I liked the tables, ladders, and scares match between Tony D'Angelo and Obafemi. That was a really good match. I really liked the match between Ethan Page and Trick Williams. But then the rest was just okay. I mean, there wasn't a bad match per se. It just wasn't on the level. And I want to say the first match of the NXT show from Tuesday night was actually better than like 2 or 3 of the matches on Halloween Havoc, in my opinion. Which we'll get into in a second. So, yeah. Also, on Tuesday night, for NXT, on the NXT show, they did a great job, and I'm going to get into this in a second, but they did a great job in setting up next Wednesday in Philly. I'm assuming that there's no show on Tuesday night next week, that the show is on Wednesday for some reason. Sounds like it was preempted by something. But I'm really looking forward to the Philadelphia show for a lot of reasons, and I'm going to get into that as we go along. But, generally speaking, Halloween Havoc, it was okay. I hope that the next PLE that they do, which I don't even know what's coming up next for them. I hope it's definitely better than this one was. Had a lot of potential, but anyway, let's talk about the show from Tuesday night, 10/29/24 from Orlando, Florida. It's at the Performance Center. For the card, the matches they had were Tatum Paxley and Wendy Chu in a casket match, Lexis King against Charlie Dempsey in the NXT Heritage Cup match, Fraxium against Javon Evans and Cedric Alexander, and then Zarya made her NXT debut, in-ring debut, and that was crazy. So we'll get to that in a second. So the first thing they did was play a highlight package from Halloween Havoc, and it cuts out in the middle, and then you see Tatum Paxley pushing a casket towards the ring, and says, "You can look at the highlights from Halloween Havoc later. Now, we got a match going on." So she pushes the casket out to the ring, and the first match is, and this got set up at Halloween Havoc, the first match is a casket match between Tatum Paxley and Wendy Chu. Now, during commentary, they had said that this was the third ever match, I believe, that didn't feature The Undertaker. That's a casket match. The second one on NXT, and the first or second one with the women competitors. This match rocked. Like, well, number one, the makeup that they did for this, for the match was great. Wendy Chu's makeup was awesome. And I if you've listened to this before, you know that I actually love Tatum Paxley. Like, she's amazing. She didn't have the all black, AKA like Rhea Ripley, the all black lipstick and everything like that. But it looked her makeup looked great. And then the match itself was just awesome. At one point, Tatum Paxley chucked Wendy Chu through a dollhouse. At one point, Tatum Paxley threw Wendy Chu into a bed frame, which for some reason, I guess it kind of goes along with her character. Wendy Chu, instead of pushing out a casket, pushed out a bed. I don't know what she was planning on doing with that. And she ended up going through it. But this match was fantastic. And it's funny, right before the end of the match, they both ended up going to the casket and the lid closing, which technically it doesn't mean that anybody won, so they continued the match. And in the match, what happens is Wendy Chu goes in the casket, and Tatum Paxley slams the top, and Tatum Paxley wins the casket match. So that was, again, to me, is the match of the night. Started out right out the gate. It was a great match. And again, we have the issue with, like, a lot of the match was taken up by the commercial. And I know they have to do the commercials, but I feel like sometimes they just hit a commercial like within like 2 minutes of the match, and it's like 2 minutes of the match starting. It's kind of a pain in the butt, to be honest. Anyway, so like I said, your winner is Tatum Paxley. We then go to a commercial, and we come back for a commercial, and Trick Williams comes to the ring, and he starts saying about how he beat the heck out of Ethan Page at Halloween Havoc in the Devil's Playground, and he says he's in pain, but Page said he would put Williams through pain he never felt before. But Page didn't tell him that Ridge Holland was going to show up. So it's a flashback to Halloween Havoc at the end of the match at Halloween Havoc between Trick Williams and Ethan Page. Trick Williams wins the match. For some reason, and we're finding this out later, I guess, Ridge Holland comes out. It doesn't really look like Ethan Page and Ridge Holland are on the same page, but all of a sudden they are, and Ridge Holland plants Trick Williams. And then, just to kind of set up the next segment we're talking about, Bubba Ray Dudley comes out and we'll find out later why. Bubba Ray Dudley comes out and basically punches and throws both Ethan Page and Ridge Holland out of the ring. And that's how the PLE ended. So after Trick Williams talks a little bit about the match and how Ridge Holland comes out, now we're back to NXT, the show on Tuesday. Bubba Ray Dudley comes out and Trick Williams thanks Bubba Ray for having his back. Bubba says that it wasn't about Williams, but it was about the disrespect from Ridge Holland. That Bubba said he watched the match and noticed that there was no one to help Williams, and tells Williams that one person was out to save him, and asks Williams if he knows why. And when Trick says he doesn't, Bubba says it's about the title around your waist, that nobody wants to come help you because you're the champion. Bubba tells Trick that he needs to have eyes in the back of his head, and Williams says he wants revenge and asks Bubba Ray to do a tag team match. And then Bubba Ray says, I could go back to Dudleyville. He puts the old Dudley Boy's glasses on, turns the hat around, but he says he's not going to do it because he doesn't want to take an opportunity away from one of the guys in the back. So Trick Williams asked to do a tag team match between the two of them and Ridge Holland and Ethan Page, and Bubba Ray says no. And then they leave the ring. After that segment, Ava is backstage, and then she thinks about what tag team would be great. And she turns, and Rob Van Dam is there, and she says, "You have some history with Bubba Ray, don't you?" And she said if Bubba Ray doesn't want to be a part of NXT, then maybe Rob Van Dam would, and then he says absolutely, and he leaves. And then Kalani Jordan comes up, asks for a one-on-one match with Fallon Henley for the title, and then Nikita Lyons walks up and asks for the opportunity, and so Kalani and Nikita Lyons decide to have a one-on-one match. And I don't know if this was supposed to be a number one contenders match. Not really say that. It was just basically like, I'll take care of Nikita and then I'll go after Fallon Henley. So it was kind of weird. It was interesting the way they played, the way they did that. But anyway, so then we get Shawn Spears and Brooks Jensen talking backstage, and they approach Tony D'Angelo, who is with Adriana Rizzo. Rizzo says that she has things to handle, and Spears and Jensen go to talk to Tony. Luca and Stax come up with a voicemail from Tony, and it's somebody saying that you didn't say you were coming to Philly. Why am I finding out about this on TV? And so they mentioned in commentary who it was, but I don't really recall who they said that was. So then we have the second match of the night, which is the Heritage Cup match between Charlie Dempsey with No Quarter Catch Crew and Lexis King, and William Regal is Lexis King's cornerman. This again was set up at Halloween Havoc, and it's weird because for those of you that maybe know or maybe don't know, William Regal is Charlie Dempsey's dad. Like, I guess it's not really in kayfabe that they're father and son, but it's kind of a known thing that they're father and son. So it was kind of weird the way it was set up. So then we have the Heritage Cup match. And I have to say, I am not big on the Heritage Cup matches. I'm not. I don't really care for them. I don't like the setup. To be honest, they're calling it the Heritage Cup Championship. I don't. It's not fun to me. I don't know. The whole rounds thing is weird. It's just the whole thing is weird. The match itself was pretty good, actually. So you got for those of you that don't know, the Heritage Cup match, you have to get 2 falls. There's 6 rounds. If you get disqualified, the matches are automatically over, and the winner of the match gets the Heritage Cup. So, we got everybody takes their spots out of the ring except the 2 competitors, and they lock up and they go back and forth for a while, and eventually, for the first fall, Dempsey hits a butterfly suplex and wins the first fall. Then we have the second round starts. So now it's 1-0. Second round starts. Hits King with an elbow. Dempsey hits King with an elbow. Gets in a headlock and throws him around the ring. King. They go back and forth. They try to do a pin attempt. King holds his foot on the outside and hits the steel steps so he can't get back. So what happened was, Charlie Dempsey threw Alexis King out of the ring. He slipped when he got to the apron and then fell onto the floor on his feet and jammed his knee, it looked like. So Alexis King is like in pain. The medical comes out. They start escorting him back. They stopped the round, which I thought was weird. They stopped the round. Finally, Alexis King, in true babyface-esque fashion, then starts going back to the ring, hobbling back to the ring, falling as he, it's just typical babyface stuff, and goes and gets in the ring, and then starts fighting again. Then the end of the second round happens, and then they get to the third round, and they go back and forth again. And then at the end of then there's a Charlie Dempsey does a fall where he hits a Northern Light suplex, which I think is another name for a perfect plex. And then Charlie Dempsey wins the match. At one point, towards the end of the match, William Regal decides he's going to try to slip Lexis King some brass knuckles to help him win, and Lexis King doesn't want any part of it. He doesn't want to win with brass knuckles. He wants to win on his own, but then he ends up losing. So, again, trying to be a babyface. And at one point, Lexis King screamed out after William Regal tried to give him the brass knuckles. Lexis King screams out, "I don't want to be like my father." So if you know anything about it, number one, his father is Brian Pillman, and he definitely broke the rules a time or two. So, anyway. Now we get to my favorite part of the night. Favorite part of the night is, so the match was Brynlee Reese versus Zarya. Zarya, formerly Delta, if you know anything about her, she's a beast. She's huge. Her arms are huge. She is. And she ends up going against Brynlee Reese. The match itself was a squash match. I mean, Zarya just beat the holy heck out of her. And at one point, kayfabe hyperextended her arm and it popped it back out of hyperextension, and Zarya just destroyed her. But that wasn't the interesting part of the match. The interesting part of the match was after the match. Fatal Influence comes down from the stands and tells Zarya that she shouldn't mess with Fatal Influence. And then all of a sudden, Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade come out and congratulate Fatal Influence on winning the North American title, or specifically Fallon Henley, and say they want to join Fatal Influence in, quote, welcoming Zarya. So now you've got 5 ladies around the ring, and Zarya in the ring by herself. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Kalani Jordan comes in and stands next to Zarya, and for a second, she's got to be like to Zarya, "I'm here to help you," because it looked like Zarya was going to haul off and punch her in the face. While Fatal Influence and Roxanne and Cora are outside, Kalani runs in the ring, and it looked like Zarya was going to just pop her in the face. But Kalani's like, "No, I'm here to help you." So, and then Julia and Stephanie Vaquer come in and also stand in the ring. So now you've got Kalani, Stephanie Vaquer, Julia, and Zarya in the ring. You've got Fatal Influence and Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade outside the ring, and then Roxanne says, "Still 5-on-4, I still like our odds," and then you hear the siren. Now, last weekend on TNA, on their pay-per-view, Jordynne Grace lost the Knockouts Women's Championship. And I don't think it's a coincidence now that after she loses, that she then shows up on NXT. So, let me recap for a second. And I know I keep saying this week in and week out, but I have to say it again. The women's division in NXT is by far the most amazing women's division in all of wrestling. Especially for a 2-hour show. Just a 2-hour show. In the last 2 months, in addition to all of the women's wrestlers they had that were great prior to that, in the last 2 months, we have gotten Julia, Stephanie Vaquer, Zarya, formerly Delta, and now Jordynne Grace. And I don't know if this time Jordynne Grace is planning on staying or not, but those 4 by themselves, those 4, without even mentioning anybody else, destroy the Raw and SmackDown division. Destroy it. Then you have... So, now let's go back to the ring, to this situation that we had. Now we have Fatal Influence. So Fatal Influence, 3 members. You got Cora and you got Roxanne. So that's 5 heels on one side. Then in the ring, you have Zarya, Kalani Jordan, Julia, Stephanie Vacour, and Jordan Grace in the ring. You've got 10 amazing female wrestlers in one ring at one point. So they all end up coming in and just beating the holy heck out of each other. And this is, we haven't even, like, there's other competitors that we have to talk about tonight as well. In just the women's division. Like, they could make an entire separate show for the NXT women's division. I don't think they should. But they could do an entire separate women's division show. I don't, like, there's 10 women in this one ring. Not to mention, there's Jada Parker and Lola Vice, who are now having a street fighter, whatever it is, next week in Philadelphia. So you got those two. You got Wendy Chu and Tatum Paxley, who had a match earlier. Who had a match earlier in the night. Like, the women's division in NXT is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, it's amazing. And I know that some people, like, don't watch NXT for whatever reason. They have bias. It's not as good. Dude, watch it. And this has nothing to do with, like, the way they look and how beautiful they are. I mean, yeah, they're all beautiful in their own right. But the talent that, and I know I sound like a broken freaking record, but the talent that these women have in one arena is ridiculous. That's my high horse. Again, please, like, tell your friends, tell other people, like, if you don't watch it for anything else, watch it for the women's division. And they have all kinds. They have high flyers. They have power, like the high flyers, like speed women. They've got the power women, like Jordan and Zarya. Like oh my God, just watch it, please, just watch it. Anyway, then we go to break. So they beat the crap out of each other. The baby faces throw the heels out of the ring, and we go to commercial. And we find out later on, just as an aside. So at first I thought they still don't have. I don't know where we're going with War Games for the women. And the men, obviously, the men's War Games, we pretty much have but we have an idea what it's going to be. It's going to be bad bloodline versus a good bloodline. But the women's War Games, we really don't have an idea about. And at one point, the bubble got popped as soon as I heard the news of what's going to happen. But at one point, I was like, dude, this would be an amazing women's War Games between these 10 women, 5 and 5. But I guess next week they're going to have a they're going to have a 10-woman tag team match, which I'm going to be interested to see how that works out, because the last time we had a 10-woman tag team match, it was pathetic. And that was on Monday Night Raw. So we'll see how that works out. So then we go to commercial. When we come back from commercial, we have Nikita Lyons versus Kalani Jordan. That was set up earlier. And they go back and forth. Very different styles. And again, Nikita Lyons, another fantastic women's wrestler. Nikita's power, Kalani's speed, they go back and forth, and then at the end of the match, Rizzo comes down, starts taking out her earrings, and Adriana Rizzo, and she goes after Nikita Lyons. She distracts her. After Nikita Lyons was going to try to do that, it's a Vader bomb that she does. Distracts her, then she misses the Vader bomb. Kalani hits the split-legged moonsault and gets the win. And then after the match, Rizzo comes in the match and just starts beating the crap out of Nikita Lyons. So, I guess, to catch you up, I guess Nikita Lyons was the person who attacked Rizzo a few weeks ago. That's what it seems like. And there's a connection between... So now I guess Nikita Lyons is a heel, which is fine. And I guess there's now a connection between Obafemi, who attacked the men in the family, and then Nikita Lyons, who attacked Adriana Rizzo. So, we'll see how that plays out. So then Ethan Page comes out to the ring and says, if you think we're done, then you're mistaken. And Rich Holland comes out and says, everyone's sick of Page. Holland says he will dethrone Williams, and then he says Bubba Ray is smart to reject Trick's offer of a tag team match, and then Bubba Ray storms down to the ring. He says it's time he and Ridge have a little talk. He says he knows a lot of Holland now. He's tough, fast, and agile, and he says he's heard he shattered both legs and came back in 8 months, and he respects that, but that's where the respect ends. Bubba Ray says he doesn't like the disrespect Ridge is throwing around, and asks Holland if he knows who Bubba is. He says he's unsure if Holland deserves a title shot, but he knows that Page deserves absolutely nothing, which I thought was great. And then Page's reaction, it was just like somebody popped his balloon at the fair. It was really funny. And then Bubba Ray tells Holland he has to earn the title shot. Holland, gets back and says no one cares about what Bubba says anymore, that he's a nostalgia act, and he should watch old tapes and revel in his prime, which is overrated. And Holland vows to put Bubba in the hospital, and if he doesn't leave, Bubba strikes Holland. If he doesn't leave, and Bubba strikes Holland, and Page attacks Bubba. And Page and Holland beat down Bubba until Trick Williams comes down for the save. And Bubba gets on the mic and says if he still wants a tag team partner next week, he's in. So we're going to have Bubba Ray Dudley, an ECW mainstay, in the Philadelphia ECW arena with tagging with Trick Williams. Bubba Ray Dudley said at one point, and I forgot to mention this, he said to Ridge, he's had more titles than Rich Holland has had title opportunities. I thought that was hysterical. So after that, we go backstage, and we have Julia, Stephanie Vaquer, Jordan Grace, Kalani Jordan Grace, and Zarya all talking about who they would like to beat the crap out of at the tag team match next week. And then Mommy shows up. Rhea Ripley comes in and says, she's excited. She hopes that they beat the crap out of him. And then, oh my goodness, what just happened? Yeah, and she hopes they blow the roof off the ECW arena next week. Then we have another backstage segment with Robert Stone, Stevie Turner, and Ava Raine, who are watching the screen when the officials from Medical run backstage, and we have a flash of Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan walking by with weapons in their hands. And then when the officials get to the car, the front door is open, and Rhea Ripley, like the job that they did making her look like a mess after a supposed beatdown was great. Like, she looked, it was very Halloweenish. They did a good job, and so obviously we're supposed to assume that Rhea Ripley got beaten up by Raquel and Liv with some weapons. So anyway, the last match of the night is Fraxium versus Javon Evans and Cedric Alexander. This was a great match too. Cedric Alexander is a hard worker, and three others, Fraxium and Javon Evans, can cook. They can cook. I honestly thought that Javon and Cedric would win the titles. They keep teasing this Fraxium fracture. I like that. That's pretty good. I gotta coin that, Fraxium fracture. They keep teasing it, but it never happens, because basically Nathan Frazier is becoming a bit of a. I have to keep this PG-13. He's becoming an ass, and eventually Axiom. It looks like Axiom's gonna just say, I'm done with you, but But yeah, so the match goes back and forth. It's a great match. If this match and the casket match are highlights of the night, so you should watch it. Oh, before I forget, sorry, this is an aside, and Matt does this all the time, so there's precedence for this. I watch NXT on the CW app, and if you haven't watched the CW app, the cool thing of the CW app, although there's a lot of commercials, there's not a lot of commercials, actually, there's commercials. The CW app is free, so everything that CW has on their app is free to watch. It's completely free. You don't even have to sign in. It's just you put it on and you watch it. So I watch NXT on the CW app. Two things I noticed, and I don't know if this is true. I didn't watch it on regular TV, so I don't know. Number one, they did not drop the sound when the fans yelled "Holy sh!" You get what I'm trying to say. There was 2 times that I noticed during Tuesday night show where that chant happened, and both times they let it play. And second thing I just want to mention is if you watch it in the CW app, and I highly recommend watching it on the CW app versus on TV. The commercials that they do have on the CW app are short. They're like maybe 30 seconds a spot. So if you're watching it like on on demand or something, on cable or however you watch it, the commercials are fairly long and annoying. But on the CW app, it was like 30 seconds of commercials, and then they were back. So it was actually a very pleasant experience. The CW, I'm not getting paid by the CW to promote their app. I'm just telling you my experience with it. It was actually pretty cool. So anyway, back and forth, and then all of a sudden at the end of the match, Javon Evans gets distracted by Wesley. So Wesley comes out, distracts Javon Evans. Javon Evans goes after Wesley, and just basically starts beating him back towards the back. And Cedric Alexander is left out there by himself, and then eventually takes the loss. Spanish Fly into the. Yeah, by the way, the Spanish Fly, like when they do the Spanish Fly from the top rope, to me that it's an amazing move. So anyway, the winner of the match was Fraxium, and they're still the tag team champions. And after the match ends, we look backstage, and Wesley and Javon Evans are beating the holy heck out of each other. And even Rob Van Dam are trying to break them up. And Rob Van Dam says he knows what he'll be doing next week. And the brawl continues. And the show goes off the air. So I'm really looking forward to next week's show. They have a lot of great matches set up. Remember, if you don't recall off the top of your head, that next week's show is on Wednesday. And it's from the Philadelphia 2300 Arena, which is formerly the ECW arena. So the matches they're setting up are awesome so far. You should definitely watch the show. I'm sorry this week has been kind of crazy, but I'm hoping that next week or the week after things are less low key. I'm definitely can't wait to do the review for next week in Philadelphia. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, please leave them. And if you want an ad-free experience, please go to Patreon or look into Apple. They have an ad-free. There's a 7-day trial period. You don't even have to pay for it. If you like, you listen to it for 7 days. If you don't like it, then you unsubscribe. No big deal. So anyway, good to talk to you guys again, and I will look forward to talking to you next week. And next week, obviously, since the show's on Wednesday, the review will be on Thursday as well. So questions, comments, let me know. Talk to you soon. Can't wait. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.